What's up, New Jersey? Welcome back to another episode of the NJ1ST podcast. My name is Ryan McDonald. Make sure to like this video and leave a comment. It'll help with the algorithm. Also, share this video on all social medias. I really do appreciate everybody that's watching the past year that I've been uploading New Jersey First, NJ1ST political content weekly. And I'm going to continue doing that all throughout 2024, all throughout 2025. I really enjoyed the interviews I did with Republican Assembly and Senate candidates. I interviewed grassroots patriots that audited the vote in 2020 and even had a mother on that wants school choice for everybody in New Jersey. So great things coming with the NJ1ST podcast. Please follow on Rumble at NJ1ST. Visit NJ1ST, NJ1ST.com. This video is going to go into the government spending, the government shutdown that could be occurring right now as we speak with Kevin McCarthy versus Matt Gaetz. We're going to look into that. Also, the border crisis. Elon Musk has visited the border and live streamed that on X. And also the presidential debate. What are the, or lack thereof, debate with President Trump. We're going to talk about that and give my opinion. Let's look into it. To begin, we have New Jersey State Senator, Republican, John Bramnick, the funniest lawyer in New Jersey. And he's been just promoting his comedy tour, just like he was in the beginning of this year, 2023, when he went down to Florida, I believe. He's promoting it now in New Jersey on my birthday, October 28th. If anyone wants to go and heckle him, let me know. I'll definitely go get some content for the NJ1ST podcast. Because this man just thinks we're all extremists anyway. He's been saying it all year. Actually, for 2 years, and no Republicans have been standing up to him. They re-elect him. This man campaigned alongside Governor Murphy in 2021. I mean, literally hand in hand at the same events, fundraising the same people, the same Republicans, same Democrats, same uni party, and John Bramnick is with that team. And Republicans don't say anything about it in New Jersey. Well, here he is again calling anybody who disagrees with Democrats extremists. The threat of a federal government shutdown is more evidence that we need a balance in government. Democracy requires compromise. Most Americans want us to work together without abandoning our values. We cannot allow extremists to hold out our country hostage. He's a state senator. Why is he even commenting on congressional shutdowns? He's literally driving a wedge in between the people in the Republican Party, driving people away from them. People don't support him, but they don't do anything about it. They're weak against him. They're afraid of him. He must have some big power, but the McCarthy versus Matt Gaetz spending is not even against putting the government in a shutdown. They don't want that, and we're going to look into that right now.
Several questions, but first, I just want to give you an opportunity. What is going on? I mean, look, they say the government's going to shut down tomorrow. Matt, is that going to happen?
Well, the House of Representatives has passed bills to fund veterans, to fund our military, the Department of Defense, to fund our state and foreign operations, and to also fund our Department of Homeland Security. The Senate has not passed a single subject bill to fund anything. So we think those are the core functions of government: veterans, military, border, state and foreign ops. We had the agriculture appropriations bill up last night. I voted for it. Unfortunately, we had some Midwesterners who were not comfortable with the degree of cuts to some of the farming subsidies, and so they brought the bill down, and we'll work through those issues. I think that this is the way to govern. There's going to be moments where a single issue becomes a sticky wicket, and I want to plow through it, get it done. I hope the Senate will take up some of our bills. We should conference those bills and then proceed to get the government funded.
So the House has passed it to the Senate, and the Senate is probably not going to do anything. Is that correct? I mean, so, and by the way, by single issue, did you guys pass an entire budget or just a defense appropriation bill? Which single issue did you guys pass?
Yeah, the latter. So we passed a bill for our Department of Defense, for our Department of State and Foreign Ops, for our Department of Homeland Security, and our Department of Veterans Affairs. So those are areas of great focus for a lot of your viewers, for a lot of our fellow Americans. The Senate could take action on those today. Instead, what the Senate wants to do is say, well, we just want to fund everything the way it's always been funded, and then maybe negotiate how much additional Ukraine money to add on top of that. We had a majority of the majority, 117 Republicans last night for the first time vote against Ukraine money. So now Ukraine money only exists by virtue of the Democrats, and our leadership should not bring it up ever again. That, I think, is the Senate position, and it is the position that really the federal government has had since the mid-90s, just to take one up or down vote on the funding of the entire government. I don't believe that's the responsible way to put downward pressure on inflationary spending. That's why I think this is a better path.
So are there other single issue bills that you guys are going to pass before tomorrow? I mean, trying to basically, since we're not doing a CR, which I think is a great approach, by the way, you have to probably put together 5 or 6 separate single issue bills, right, to get to the combined totality. Is that correct? Because otherwise a CR...
Not all 12 bills are the same, right? So, we attempted to pass the agriculture bill. We still have issues to work through on that. If we were to get the agriculture bill passed along with what we've already passed, it's 73% of the discretionary funding for the government. So it is the vast majority of the federal government's function and the spending that Washington approves for our disparate agencies. There would still be work to do. Look, I think there's going to be some real debate around the Department of Justice's bill. I think that one is not first because we'd rather prioritize our veterans, our troops, our Border Patrol over some of the folks at the FBI who aren't answering our requests for documents without putting up a massive fight and don't produce the witnesses in a timely fashion that we want to interview. So I do think there is a reason to the priority that we have chosen, and I think it is sound.
I have to admit, I thought that this would be swapped. So those 4 on the right-hand side are the single subject bills that they want to pass. It's the military-industrial complex, right? And on the left seems like some domestic front things that you can fund. And they aren't funding them or looking at them. But then you have, if they were to add in agriculture, which they were planning on and looking like that they could accomplish, Matt Gaetz says that they would be 73% of the total congressional spending. That's just putting the agricultural and rural development and Food and Drug Administration, so the farmers, but the corn subsidies, I'm not sure. Okay, farmers, we got to help farmers. You always hear on documentaries of how little farmers are left in America, and it's just big corporations. But 73% on the right-hand side, and that which means, help me with the math, right? 27% left over on the left-hand side for domestic front. Just interesting numbers when you put them in, visual.
So Matt, I want to ask you also about this story from Olivia Beavers. I'm sure you've seen it. She's claiming that you're pitching some House Democrats to oust McCarthy from the speakership. What is the truth here?
Yeah, no, I am singularly focused on getting our spending bills across the line. That is where my effort has been. Of course, Democrats have come up to me seeking gossip, wanting to know, what are you thinking about the motion to vacate? And I've told them, right now, I'm focused on these bills. We do have to deal with the fact that Kevin McCarthy has been a failure, that Kevin McCarthy has not fulfilled his promises. He hasn't released the January 6 tapes. We, haven't seen the budgeting process that was guaranteed to us back in January. So we'll deal with that. We will have to deal with that. It is not my focus now. I'm worried about people who are going to be doing the job of this government that deserve to get a paycheck. And it's not like if we don't get this resolved tomorrow, people are going to miss paychecks, but we do need to get to work. We need to start working 18-hour days. I mean, we were taking votes all night last night, all the way to midnight, same as the night before. We've done more legislating in the last 72 hours around here than we've done in the last 8 months. And it's because there are some tough House conservatives who are forcing it. Yeah, and that's inspiring, but also frustrating, Matt. I mean, you guys took the whole month of August off, right? It shouldn't have to be this bum rush, right? I mean, look, I don't make the calendar. That's Kevin's fault. That is McCarthy's fault. Kevin McCarthy never intended to do this. He never intended to have single subject bills. The only reason we're passing them now is because we're making him pass them. And if Kevin McCarthy was at all serious about this, you're totally right. We wouldn't have passed one before the August break and then sent everybody home as the federal appropriation process hung in the balance. So these single subject bills, the Senate's not going to do this. Like the Senate, they're a complete waste of time. So basically, are they going to send back a CR back to the House and then there's going to be an impasse? That's probably what's going to happen, right? breaking the muscle memory of the Senate is not going to be easy. I don't present that as something that is whimsical in any way, but we have to break the fever. We have to break the muscle memory that has occurred since the mid-90s to govern by continuing resolution and omnibus bill. And remember what we are continuing. What we are continuing is the post-COVID era funding that grew by 40% during the COVID era. So I just think that, yes, you're right. The Senate is going to be tough. They're going to be recalcitrant. But I think if we had all of our Republicans in the House, if we had the American people saying, look, we know there has to be compromise and divided government. We know that people like Gates are going to have to make some common ground with some Senate Democrats to get the government funded. But the way to do that is not to start with the premise that it's all or nothing, that it's all at once. The premise should be individual review. And then you know what? We may actually get more bipartisan agreement when you're looking at these agencies and programs and different spending priorities that may have lost their efficacy years or decades ago.
Matt Gaetz completely refutes what John Bramnick, the New Jersey Republican state senator, has been telling his constituents, that people are extremists if they go against this passing of a omnibus bill, a continuing resolution where it just kicks the can down the road, funds it all, debt for American constituents, debt for American posterity, our future. Who cares? If you come to NJ1ST.com and scroll down, you'll see the NJ1ST podcast, my NJ1ST Substack, and then the ebook. You can click there, and one of the pages, it'll bring you to my own experience with asking two congressional candidates in New Jersey their opinion on omnibus bills and the stimulus package, the CARES Act, specifically page 52. So if you want to take a look at that, you're more than welcome.
The next 24 hours are going to be super important. How could this be, let's just say, swampified? How could the cartel try to navigate here? Because this is what happens. That's a great question. Right? So yeah, please.
Yeah, anything that they can do to liberate themselves from reviewing these agencies independently. The swamp move is always a move that lumps everything together, and that way you're forced to just take one up or down vote on the entire government all at once. That is their play. It's the same exact play they've been running for decades. That's why we're $33 trillion in debt. It's why we have $2.2 trillion annual deficits right staring us in the face, and it's why the rest of the world is starting to de-dollarize, from the BRICS system to the African Union to even some of the Gulf monarchies selling more and more of their energy outside the U.S. dollar. This is not a time to crush the most valued institution in the American economy, the dollar.
Yeah, and I can start to see, though, the rumblings that moderate Republicans might try to go do a deal with Democrats. How do we prevent that from happening? Don Bacon, for example.
Listen, that may happen. And by the way, if that's going to happen, that was always going to be what was going to happen. If at the end of all the performances, you were going to see moderate Republicans join up with their uniparty coalition in the Democrats to advance Joe Biden's priorities, then that exposes to the American people who you are governed by. And I'm doing everything I can to stop the uniparty, to force them to take votes, to force them to budget and work and appropriate as the law requires. And it's going to be a battle, and the battle's on.
Yeah, this is my big fear, is that we have all this great fight, single subject, but tonight it would not be impossible if Don Bacon and some of the moderates just put a clean CR on the floor. I don't even know if it has to go through committee, and then every Democrat votes alongside of it, and it goes to the Senate.
That very well could happen. And my defense against that is somewhat limited on the floor of the House.
Except PR type campaign. That's all we have, right?
I'm not speaking about any one particular member, but if we have members that go do that, we will be seeding the fields of the upcoming primary challenges for people who would join with Democrats to advance Joe Biden's spending priorities. At some point, you've just got to win elections, win primaries, and get better Republicans. And if our Republicans are going to go do a bad, dirty deal with the Democrats, I'm going to do everything in my power as one member to see that doesn't happen.
Hey, New Jersey, Tom Kean Jr., your new congressman, Republican from CD7, voted for Governor Murphy's 2019 budget. So what do you think he's going to do when it comes for Biden and Kevin McCarthy, who just came and helped fundraise in Union County for him just this week? So what do you think is going to happen? I don't know. You let me know in the comments. Moving on to the border crisis, Elon Musk visited Eagle Pass border crossing yesterday. Let's give this a listen.
Yeah, so here we are at Eagle Pass, and we're going to be meeting with the sort of the major officials and law enforcement responsible for the border, and just hear directly from them and see exactly what's going on for yourself. So with that, let's. Yeah.
Yes, I'm Tony Gonzalez. I'm a local congressman here in the district. My district is 823 miles of the southern border, places like Eagle Pass, El Paso, Uvalde, Del Rio. We've been at the epicenter of this border crisis. What I'd really like to share is a lot of my sheriffs and local elected officials are being forgotten. Their stories aren't getting out. Some stories are, but a lot of stories aren't. The first person I'd like to hear from is Randy Brown, who is the sheriff of Medina County. It's about an hour away from, about 100 miles away from here. And Randy's behind us now. You want to come over here, Randy? And the question I have is what's happening in your county? This is 100 miles away.
And just imagine, like, you're just talking to America here, and people just want to understand exactly what's going on, but assume that people do not know what's going on.
Well, you got to go back some time, and whenever the open border policies from the White House kind of got thrown out there, we've been overrun.
How long ago was that?
Cool. What year was that?
2 years ago.
2 years
We're on our
ago.
third year.
We've been battling it for 2 years, and
okay.
So
you're saying there's been an open border policy essentially for the past 2 years?
it was an invitation.
An invitation.
That's how I read it. That's how it was told from the White House. So
okay.
They don't have a clue what's going on here, I don't think, because if they did, maybe they would care. Maybe they wouldn't. I don't know.
How does the train impact you? Because the trains have been a big story lately. There's a train just over here. This is kind of where it starts, Elon, where you see, all these thousands of people on a train. This is where they're coming through, but it doesn't end here. It just starts here. Yeah. Medina County is where they're going to make it to the big cities like San Antonio.
Two major rail lines come through my county, and on those, the illegals ride. They actually control the trains because they know how to crank down the brake on the car so that when it passes a heat sensor, the conductor has to stop the train, the illegals get off, the people come to get them, and all the stolen vehicles they're stealing from all over the country. Nearly every one of them is in a stolen vehicle.
Okay.
So then we get involved, and then they're trespassing on private property.
Okay.
And when you do get behind the road, they run through fences, they run over equipment. Irrigation stuff is important to the farmers. They run over their equipment, they tear it up. We tear up vehicles trying to hold the line. We're trying to hold the line 100 miles away because the line is not getting held in. Because it's not that complicated to close the border. It really isn't. And that's the aggravating part. I think any sheriff here will tell you the same thing.
All right. Well, and just again, just assume that this is really just for the general public, and so we want to just frame the situation because not everyone knows like the magnitude and is this normal or is it like so just if you could just frame the situation for the general public, that would be helpful.
What terrifies me the most is we're seeing historic numbers, 11,000 people coming over daily for the past week. Here in Eagle Pass alone, 2,500 people, over 5,000 people in detention. But what worries me the most is this, in many cases, feels normal. The part that doesn't make it out on some of the news stuff is there is a golf course. We're literally standing in front of a golf course, and you have people playing golf as if it is normal. To the right, you have people that are coming over illegally. I mean, it is upside down. And like Elon said earlier, I believe in legal immigration. I think legal immigration is important. And what happens is when you grant people that have come over illegally these different opportunities, you completely undermine the legal system.
I think like the stuff we were talking about in the car, the magnitude of the situation.
The magnitude of it, yeah.
So it's like the fact that we are seeing all-time highs in the legal process, that ramp is increasing.
Yes.
So these are really important points because the public isn't. I think it's not necessarily clear to the public. Is this normal or are we seeing an accelerating crisis?
It's not getting better. It's getting worse. Last Friday was a week ago.
I'm pretty sure that's a shit congressman right there, one that doesn't vote properly with the America First and Freedom Caucus. Tony Gonzalez, akin to a Brian Fitzpatrick or maybe even a Jeff Andrew or Chris Smith. Jeff Andrew's been doing better, but Brian Fitzpatrick, yeah. And they should be stopping the border, the stuff that's going on at the border. And Instead, a lot of them are shipping them into the country just to make a point, to try and spread them out because they're getting overrun at the border, I understand. But I myself experienced it in 2019. Can't imagine how much longer this has been going on for so long. This is 2019. This is during Trump's term, by the way. And Greyhound bus stations, I in Nashville, Tennessee, followed them all the way back to Washington, D.C. I was on a trip to Louisiana, I believe, or maybe Indiana, one of those places. I don't know. I travel to American capital cities a lot, taking buses or Amtrak trains. But this was the first time I actually saw it. And 2019. I mean, at least Elon's bringing awareness to the issue. 88.4 million views on that alone. So that's what we need. That's what we need. And lastly, I'll touch on the second GOP presidential debate. Chris Christie made his landmark meme with Donald Duck. Now that's the whole thing he's been posting for the last 72 hours. I didn't watch the debate, but, debates and primaries are good. And free speech is good, along with RFK Jr. and the Democrats. He's trying to have his free speech debate, and they're not allowing him. So for the Republicans and the GOP, Donald Trump isn't participating in any of the debates. I think these are informal debates, maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe the formal debates will come up and he plans on participating. I'm not sure. But what if he does not plan on participating in any of the debates? Well, there's one-on-one debate that was challenged by Governor Ron DeSantis. He might accept that. He might not. But again, I reiterate, primaries are good. Debates are good. In New Jersey, this is Chris Christie here, of course. We're staying with New Jersey topic. Ed Durr was primaried by Beth Sawyer. And we're going to show a little clip that she uttered. There was a Civil War GOP brewing about. It's funny how John Bramnick calls everybody extremists except people who, I guess are allowed to say things and like that and don't get called extremists. I'm not sure.
So I want you guys to know the real reason why we are doing this. And I hate to say it's a civil war, but I had people that I really trusted, that I saw them lose all of their integrity for their own personal financial gain. That's when I knew that I had to do what we are doing right here, right now. We are doing it for the Republican Party. We are doing it for our families. We are doing it for our counties, and we are doing it for this state.
Whoa, Civil War? Where was she between 2016 to 2020? We really could have used her help. But anyway, Beth Sawyer versus Ed Durr. Ed Durr did not debate during the primary. He did not want to debate Beth Sawyer. And the reason being probably because he didn't want to reveal his strategy to her. Maybe he didn't think that she would be able to take her on intellectually, and he just wanted to stay with the grassroots patriot movement rather than taking it upon his own, shoulders. And that's fine. The people spoke, and he was elected in the primary. And that is probably what's going to happen with Donald Trump. He's probably going to get elected in the primary for the Republican Party, even if he doesn't debate. Is that good? I don't know. Is it good for democracy? We live in a constitutional republic. Is it good for democracy? Probably not. But the superdelegates will ruin any Democrat Party candidate they put up, like a RFK Jr. He might run independent. It's said that October 9th he might plan to announce to run independent, RFK Jr. He already set it up headquarters in New Jersey. And if he does, will it take votes away from the Democrats more than the Republicans? People are already posting saying no, it'll in fact take away more votes from the Republicans than it will the Democrats. We will wait to see. It's going to be an interesting 2024. Thank you very much for watching the NJ1ST podcast. My name is Ryan McDonald. Subscribe at the NJ1ST podcast on Rumble, on YouTube. Follow at NJ1ST on X, formerly known as Twitter. Also at Ryan McDonald USA. Thanks for watching, guys.